welcome back to See and Free Studio. So glad to have all of you here. I have a little confession to make. I've already taped the first 5 episodes before having the opportunity to watch them. And as I watched them, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to stop fidgeting. I need to sit up straighter. I need to look directly into the camera when I speak. I need to broaden my vocabulary. I had all kinds of feedback and critique for myself. And I thought about it, and I realized it's all worth it. It's worth it if I can be more effective and still be able to live up to my unique, special, and different. And so that's my goal, is to be better for myself so that I can be more effective and reach more people and be better for all of you. And one way I'm planning to do that is to keep following the guest that's with us today. Deanna Hansen has been a certified athletic therapist for 25 years. She is the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy. It's a bodywork practice, and she'll tell you all about it. But it includes therapy, meditation, exercise. It's the whole body experience and all of your mind as well. Her work helps people of all ages and conditions, from those that have debilitating issues to pro athletes who are pushing their bodies to the limits. She's got 160 certified block therapists, or people that are in training around the world, who are spreading this very important practice and helping people like me to improve my mind and body. And with that, I would love to introduce you to Deanna Hansen.
Thank you so much. I am so pleased to be here and to share anything and everything that you want to know.
Perfect. I love it. Well, Deanna, tell everybody where you are in the world and what you're up to these days.
Well, I live in Winnipeg, Canada. So right now it's we're in a bit of a Arctic time. It's about -30, so not getting outside very much. I'm very much looking forward to springtime so I can get out and walk. I have to admit, I am a little bit of a princess when it comes to really cold weather. So in a lot of senses, though, it's given me a lot of opportunity to really dive into my work and focus differently on aspects of it that I'd never had a chance to before COVID, before the lockdown. So as my community is growing and things are getting a lot busier, it's been a huge blessing, actually, because I have more opportunity to share, have podcasts, have discussions with people, and to really support the community.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the benefits of this point in time, where we all, ironically, I guess, are being able to connect more when we're in isolation. And I've heard that from a lot of people. I'm glad to hear you say that, because you've got a broad community globally practicing block therapy and fluid isometrics. Do you want to tell people what that is?
Absolutely. So the fascia system is the system of the body that block therapy and fluid isometrics target. So I have a very, I feel, unique understanding of fascia, as I have spent over 50,000 hours working in the fascia system of other people as well as my own body. And I very much have changed and shifted my personal alignment in all aspects, physically, emotionally, how my systems work and flow. And through the process of self-discovery, I really recognized that I tapped into a healing modality that literally unzips the seams of time, basically. So fascia connects every cell from head to toe. And what we need to understand is that there's cause sites to our pain and issue sites. So for example, if you have shoulder pain and you go for a treatment and you just have that shoulder worked on, it may feel good temporarily, but likely it's going to surface again, because there's going to be different areas of the body that are causing that tension and pulling on it. So with my work, basically what we do is we tap into the energy centers of the body through the process of diving deep through the layers of fascia, through the process of, this is the tool, it's called a block buddy. So basically block therapy is the self-care version of the technique that I developed. So I'm just going to back up a bit and share a bit about my story. Yeah. 21 years ago now, when I was 30 years old, I was going through some major changes in my life, and I was having a really significant series of anxiety attacks as a result of that. This one anxiety attack was actually the seed of everything to come. I, in that moment, actually didn't know if I was going to survive, because I couldn't actually find my breath. But what was so interesting was, intuitively, I dove my hand deep into my belly, and the first thing that I encountered was pain. But the pain took me away from my crazy thinking. It brought me back to the ground, and I knew, okay, I'm safe. I'm going to live another day. But what was also so interesting was as I started just intuitively exploring in my tissue, I recognized that it was marbled with what felt like scar tissue, even though I hadn't had any injuries or surgeries in that area. So as an athletic therapist up to that point, I had basically focused on deep tissue work. So I was very aware of what scar tissue felt like and very good actually at my work with working on people. But I would typically work on backs and necks and legs where people feel pain. So what was really amazing is after about 30, 45 minutes of this first night of just exploring in my own tissue, when I stood up, I felt quite a bit different. And I was very excited because I was carrying about 50 pounds of extra weight at that time. And as an athletic therapist, which was my university training, I learned all about, weight loss and fitness and all of the things that we needed to do. But I was really struggling. I wasn't able to get the results in my own body that I was looking for, even though I was working really hard. I was running, I was doing things like Taebo aerobics, 400 sit-ups a day. The harder I worked, the bigger I became, the more anxiety, the more congestion, constipation, like all these things just continued to increase, even though I was really working so hard. So after that first evening of just exploring intuitively, I felt really, really calm. And when I woke up the next day, I was really excited to get back into my tissue and to continue the exploration. So throughout the day, what was really impactful as I was working was I still felt really calm, which was for me not my typical way of being because I was really struggling with anxiety at the time. So second night I get home and I'm continuing to explore in my tissue. And it was just so incredible because as I'm feeling this scar tissue, I'm having these aha moments. I'm realizing that no wonder when I'm working so hard, like coming back from a 5-mile run, dripping wet with sweat, my belly would still feel cold. So I started recognizing that there's no blood flow getting to this tissue to metabolize it. And this is a real problem. So after that second night of working, when I stood up, I went to the mirror and I immediately began to cry because my belly was flatter than it had looked in years. So simply 2 days of doing this really simple exploration in my own abdomen, and I had the results that I had wanted for so long. So I continued with this journey. Every night I would come home from work and I would continue to explore. And after 2 weeks, my chronic low back pain had significantly improved. So I decided to use my patients, the ones that I'd already been seeing. I flipped them onto their backs and asked them if it was okay if I approached their bodies in a bit of a different way. And very soon after, I started having some really amazing experiences with them. And over time, this caused me to attract other therapists that wanted to learn the technique. So I spent the first number of, say, a decade really focusing on patient work, focusing on treating or teaching other therapists the technique. But my real passion was to teach people to self-care. So I needed to find a way to give people the tool to work on themselves because therapy can be expensive and it's not accessible to everybody. So I tried at first teaching people to use their hands like I had, but there was a lot of limiting factors to that. So it was about 10 years ago that through just an intuitive, organic exploration, really, I discovered how to use the Block Buddy. So it took me actually 2 years to develop this tool. This is made of bamboo. Initially, it was made of cedar. And the reason is because cedar and bone are similar in density. Bamboo and bone are also similar in density. And this is a much better renewable resource. So this is the tool or the medium that we use now. But what is really interesting about the fascia is it will grip and adhere to bone with a force of up to 2,000 pounds per square inch. So if you can think about how much pressure that is inside the body, we don't even recognize it because it's constant. And these grips will adhere to bone. So we need a medium similar to density in order to be able to drive through those layers of fascia, to be able to connect to those adhesions that are blocking blood and oxygen flow. And adhesions can result from unconscious posture and incorrect breathing. So typically we fall into our body. Over time, we become shorter and wider. And the fascia is what grips and supports us from tipping over because we're not balanced as we start to fall into ourselves. We're dominant on one side of the body. So as we start tipping away, the fascia grips. This is what really is causing us to age. Also, injuries and surgeries creating scar tissue all of these things block blood and oxygen flow to cells. So the goal with block therapy, or the technique fluid isometrics, is to dive through those layers of the fascia, melt through those adhesions, and then teach proper diaphragmatic breathing so we can now inflate that space that's being blocked with get oxygen to those cells so they start to thrive and rejuvenate, as well as teach people proper postural alignment so that we can maintain correct alignment so we don't continue to fall into those spaces that caused our chronic issues to begin to surface in the beginning.
Yeah. So you talked about this. You said, my passion is to teach people self-care. And what I love about your story is you started with yourself. And it sounds like you define scars in many ways. I mean, you're talking about fascia, you're talking about the physical scars, but it also helps, it sounds like, address a lot of the emotional scars that many of us can hold. And that anxiety, I think many people have experienced in their life at some point. And it sounds like you found a way to bring those two things together. Were there any challenges along the way? Because I know you said you took 10 years to kind of create this movement and get people to come with you. Were there any challenges in you kind of bringing this mission of yours to bear?
It has been fraught with challenges, but I see every one of those challenges has really given me the direction to chart the course that I'm supposed to be on. So for the first 10 years, I had a clinic where I was teaching therapists, but there was a lot of limiting factors to that. Being simply in Winnipeg was really allowing me only to access people that lived here. Again, when you're dealing with having to see people on a regular basis, that adds a lot of cost to things. Also, this was a very out there concept. So it took a while to really gain the momentum and to have enough people talking about it. So it was when I started really focusing on block therapy and I was able to get this outside of Winnipeg and to really address people all over the world, which is really nice because with the tool, all we have to do is ship the tool and then all of the other information is delivered through video online. So there's really nobody in the world that we can't access with this now, which was such a blessing to have COVID happen a year ago and to already have a membership set up with our ability to instruct people on this self-care tool. And just back to your point about the emotional component, I love that question because pain, fear, and stress cause us to reactively hold the breath. And I really see this as the driving force of aging. It's not being able to connect to this incredible, powerful muscle, the diaphragm, that is supposed to feed the body oxygen and release the toxins from the body. In fact, in 2014, they did a study in Australia that proved that 84% of weight loss comes through proper exhalation, which if you think about that, that's amazing. Like, why aren't we all focusing on this muscle to exhale? But what happens when we have pain or stress or fear, we reactively hold this muscle. So if I've had an emotional event or a traumatic event, that gets locked away in the body. And again, with that 2,000 pound per square inch force. So as we're releasing those adhesions and improving flow, we're also releasing those negative emotions that got trapped in the spirals of the fascia. And so the emotional releases are very real. But because we're working the full body and creating flow throughout, people are able to release them in a safe way. And also we have an incredible community of people blocking all over the world that are always there to assist with questions and be supportive. Really, the life breath of this whole thing is the community and the people that we're drawing into it. So that's on Facebook, Block Therapy Community, for anybody that wants to join.
Yes, and I'm a member of the community, and I've really enjoyed it, Deanna, because some people will know that watch this episode. I lost 100 pounds in 2007, and at that time, it was quite frankly just my mind that I needed to work on the most. I mean, that was really what was blocking me, I think, from having a healthier lifestyle. But now that I'm blocking or unblocking, just maybe how I would put it. See, I've got hold on guys, I've got the Black Baby and the Black Buddy for anyone. But it's been great because it really has helped me, and I think others who do this work, and I think you've been great about really bringing us along in your videos about self-care is to put those two things together. So now I'm not, I've obviously lost the weight, but now I am also working on the body, breaking up what probably was bad posture because I was holding the weight in a different place, and I was, and the breathing is so critical. I think you're really onto something. I love that you promote that, because to come to think of it, I don't think I was aware of my breath until I started doing a lot of your program and really paying attention. So I think it's wonderful that you're taking something, an experience that you had and learned from, and bringing it to so many people. And that's just a wonderful thing. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. It is a blessing. And back to your questions of challenges, though, it's interesting because I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm an innovator, a therapist, and I really wanted to get this work out there. So the challenges for me was having to wrap my head around creating a business around that. And that was, there's been years of many times of struggle and stress as a result, because I didn't go to business school. I learned everything through consequence, but huge blessing in that, because I feel so able now and ready to conquer whatever's coming my way, because I feel like the harder lessons are behind me now. And there's been many, but what is just so incredible are the people that have come to support me through this and help me create this program so that I can continue to do what I need to do and just be there for people when they reach out, which is really what my role is now. Besides creating content, I'm there to respond to people as they need guidance and assistance, as is the community. So it has been quite the blessing, I have to say. Yeah, no, and thank you for sharing that too, because sometimes I think, when we have this unique, special, and different aspect of ourselves, and in your case, bringing self-care to everyone around you, there's always the other part of it, right? Running a business, that's not always easy. And what I hear you saying is it's good to bring people along that can help you do that. And I think that's something I want to encourage other people to do. We all have our unique, special, and different, but there's also this complementary skill set. There's areas where maybe we need to work on in order to feel like we can bring our whole self forward. And you've been doing that with your business. And I think it's fantastic. And I'm glad, even though this is not a promotional podcast, I'm glad to promote it and all the work that you're doing. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, is there any advice you would have given yourself, what'd you say, 21 years ago? Is there any advice you would have given yourself or would have liked to have heard from somebody at that moment in time, when you're experiencing all that anxiety and pushing yourself so hard? What would you have said to that self? Kindness is such an interesting concept, because I think that the most important thing we need to do is be kind to ourselves. And I always say, be kind to yourself, be kind to your cells, because your cells are like these little kids inside of you that are working so hard on your behalf. And most people, until they understand this, I think really unconsciously or consciously beat themselves up. The amount of time I spent hating my body, hating myself, feeling not good enough, all of those things, I think we all feel that. But when we understand, when we actually send that frequency or that vibration through our mind, it actually impacts how we look, how we feel, how we function. So at 51 now, I feel like I've learned a lot. I've in some ways matured a lot, in some maybe not so much. But I would say that kindness aspect, it is so important, because when you beat your cells up, they reflect that. And the very first book that I read that really changed my understanding of energy was The Celestine Prophecy. And one of the things I learned in that book was what you think you become. And I thought, wow, for years I've hated my belly. No wonder it's big and congested and, full of waste, because I haven't given it any love. So whether we're talking about a physical aspect of our body or something that we did, or maybe something that we said, we're very, very good at beating ourselves up. And I don't wish anything to be different, because I think all of the lessons I've learned along the way have been part of what's brought this forward. But I would say to a 30-year-old today, be kinder to yourself. And I think as we do get a little older, it becomes a little easier to do because we recognize that, we're going to fail and we have to fail. If we don't fail, we don't change. When things feel good, there's no need or reason to shift course. It's only really when there's challenges and things are painful or unpleasant that we wake up to potentially see a different way to do something. So that kindness aspect, I think it's important. And if we're kind to ourselves, it's way easier to be kind to everybody else as well. And, people talk a lot about like the forgiveness aspect. I think we all have to turn that inward first and also forgive ourselves for being so hard on ourselves.
Agreed. I think, I think a lot of times our source of angst towards other people is because we are insecure and not happy with ourselves. And I see that a lot. And Seeing Free is all about that, is seeing and freeing yourself, and I think what you're saying is be kind to yourself. And we need to do that more. And I certainly want to help people see it for themselves. And it sounds like you and I are on the same mission together to do that. One of the things I do during every program is I ask a random question. And so you get to choose the question by giving me a number between 1 and 25. So
Fun.
What's your favorite number between 1 and 25?
13. Day I was born.
All right. Oh, good. This is a good one. What does home mean to you?
Oh, home is where I feel the most comfortable inside myself. And that can be different locations. It can be spending time with different people. But for me, I don't have a family. I don't have children of my own, but I have a wonderful family. I have 2 sisters, 2 nephews. Quinn, my nephew, he's part of my journey with me with block therapy. So that for me is it. And I think really what it comes down to is connecting to the breath. When I feel anxious, no matter if I'm at my personal home or somewhere else, I don't feel at home because I know that I'm not giving my cells what they require to do their job. And my cells are what makes me and what makes all of us. So when we can feel at home inside ourselves and inside our body, I think home is really everywhere and anywhere. And of course, the people that you love and you want to be around. That's obviously very important, but I have been amongst people that I love to be around and being very out of sorts in myself. So then I don't feel at home. So it really does come back down to that kindness, self-care aspect.
Yeah. I used to say it's never fun to feel lonely with other people. And I think
that's
that
for sure.
One thing to be alone, but to be lonely when you're with other people. And I think that comes from exactly what you're saying, which is this kind of lack of a presence and feeling connected to yourself. So thanks for reminding of all of us about that, because that's something I think we all could do for ourselves, and take that moment to take a breath and just breathe. I don't know that you're doing that because you've got a book coming out and you're also going to be doing a children's program soon, which I'm really excited about. I've got 2 boys. I would love for my 8-year-old to start doing some block therapy. You want to tell everybody a little bit about it?
I am so excited. Block Therapy Academy for Kids. This is the plan is to have this launching in the fall. So my goal with this, I really see the posture of the youth being a massive issue and something that affects every single person, because if our kids can't grow up healthy, that's going to impact every single one of us. And unfortunately, growing up in front of technology has really impacted their posture. It's created a lot of collapse in their body. I see a lot of scoliosis. I always say that scoliosis is the next epidemic on the rise for the youth. And I deal with a lot of scoliosis with my patients. So the goal of this is there's a few parts to it. One part is to teach them how to block so that, of course, they have a self-care tool for themselves, but also to educate them on fascia and their body. There's a wonderful young boy, Zenon, who's in my community. And it was so fun because after a few weeks of working with him, his mom said, how many kids know where their piriformis is? And I thought, well, exactly. And so I want kids to truly understand their bodies, to have a really broad base of knowledge about the fascia system, about their breath, how impactful it is when we connect to the conscious diaphragmatic breath. We actually feed the body 6 times the oxygen. That is a game changer for everything from how we function, how we process emotion, how we think. It all comes down, how we sleep even. It all comes down to proper oxygenation and then cleansing. So connecting to the breath is so key. So I really want this to be not just about giving them the work to do, but also teaching them what is so important for them to know about their bodies. On top of that, I want to teach kids how to teach other kids so that we can have the youth growing up consciously and also making money, so that when they become adults, they already have a foundation of understanding the financial aspects and how to support themselves as well. So there's a whole bunch of parts to this. And I have some amazing people helping me put this together, some incredible educators and some doctors that are also going to be a part of this. So I'm really, really excited about this. It's been a dream of mine to do this for probably, well, at least 8 to 10 years now, but it was never the right time because I needed to get everything else in place first so that, you know, the parents would first have the understanding. And it's really, I see a lot of the grandparents being excited about this because, I mean, the people that are initially drawn to my community are typically the 50 to 75-year-old woman. From there now, we're spreading out. The husbands are coming on board. The kids are starting to do it, and it's wonderful. But yeah, this is my passion project for this year, and I can't wait. I'm just so thrilled. And Finn, who's Finn is the Quinn. Finn is the Quinn for the kids program. 11-year, actually he's 12 now. He's 12 now, and he is just a gem. And I think everybody will fall in love with him. So. Yeah, we've got a lot of filming to do through the summer to get everything up and running. And again, fall is the goal to have this launched, at least level 1, and then we'll continue to evolve and develop along the way.
I love it. I think it's going to be wonderful for kids. And you are not wrong when you say there's an obsession with electronics. And all of us, I think, are all, you know, we've got the hunchback.
I know.
And, I certainly have been suffering from that myself. So I think it's wonderful. And, you know, this is something to be said for standing up. You know, just that message for kids and being able to take care of themselves and learning a lot of life skills as well. Like you said, I'm excited about it. I will definitely tell my kids all about it. You have been a real inspiration, Deanna, and I hope that you know, we continue to bring more people into the block therapy world, but mostly the self-care world, because I think that, like you said, that's your real unique, special, and different, and it's the underlying theme for everything you do. And we need more people like you to continue to help evangelize that and help the rest of us take care of ourselves.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and shout out to Quinn. Anyone that watches the videos will be intimidated by Quinn because he is a very fit young man. But it's great watching him because he really helps people learn how to do this work. And it's been great watching the two of you together.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with the banter. I'm always the one instructing him to do the class. So he's always the one in pain and we're sharing about the pain. And I always get a good giggle when I always tell people, if you're in pain, smile, because it actually changes the perception. So when I see him smiling, I know that I have him right where I want him, and we have tons of fun with that.
I love it. Well, one of the things, you know, you obviously help a lot of people going through illness and disease, and one of the things that we do here is try to promote nonprofits that people really care about. And you have one that I would love for you to share with the group and why it's so important to you.
So it was a year ago Christmas that this gentleman, Gary Sharp, reached out to me. He has Parkinson's, and he has a fund, Outthinking Parkinson. So I immediately sent Gary some blocks, and he got in the program, and he's been now a year and a bit blocking, and he has made absolutely incredible gains. But what I absolutely love about Gary is he is all about sharing research so people can understand what's causing what. He is truly a forward thinker and tying so many parts together so people can grasp that deeper understanding of chronic illness and how we can approach our bodies to live a better life. And he is just completely all the time sharing. Like he does the work and he shares it. He shares it in my community. He shares it all over Facebook. So I'm just thrilled with the education that he gives and that he offers to anybody and everybody. So I just want to continue to support him on that.
Yeah, and I read a little bit about Gary when I was checking out the GoFundMe page, and talking about just how he had to stop being a victim to the disease and really try to change his mindset. And it's a wonderful story. I want to help Gary, and I want to help everyone who is experiencing Parkinson's, what can feel like it's taking over your body and your mind. And Gary's a testament that that you can try to outthink it and do something about it.
He sure is.
Yes, so please support Gary and Deanna and everything that you're doing to help people live healthier, better lives. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I reached out to Deanna. We never met before today, but I'm really thankful that you came on the show to do this with us and share your unique, special, and different with the rest of the world.
Oh, my pleasure, Jennifer. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. And with that, everyone, that's going to be the end of this episode of See and Free Studio. Thank you so much for coming to visit us. I hope you'll come back. Please subscribe. You can do that on seeandfreestudio.com, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Come and find me, and I would love to see you here.